Loving kindness is not just an emotion, it is a way of being. It is not limited to those who are close to us, nor is it given only when it is easy. True loving kindness arises from a heart that is open and free, a heart that does not discriminate between friend and stranger, between those who are kind to us and those who are not. In our daily lives, we often think of kindness as something we do, an act, a gift, or a word of encouragement. But the kindness I speak of is deeper than that. It is a quality of the heart, something that radiates from within. It does not depend on circumstances. It is not something we turn on and off, like a light switch, based on how we feel or who is in front of us. Rather, it is a steady, warm glow that touches all who come near, like the sun that shines on everyone without choosing whom to warm. When we truly understand loving kindness, we see that it is not about gaining anything. It is not about expecting kindness in return. If we give love only when we receive love, then our kindness is conditional and its power is limited. But when we offer kindness without expecting anything back, we free ourselves from disappointment. We find joy in the very act of giving. Many people believe that kindness makes us weak. They fear that if they are too kind, others will take advantage of them. But true loving kindness is not weakness. It is the greatest strength. It takes courage to open one's heart, to remain kind even when others are not. It takes wisdom to see that every person we meet, no matter how they behave, carries their own burdens, their own suffering. When we understand this, kindness becomes natural. It is no longer something we must force. The practice of loving kindness begins with a simple shift in perspective. Instead of seeing people as separate from ourselves, we begin to see them as part of the same great flow of life. Just as we wish for happiness, they too wish for happiness. Just as we seek peace, they too seek peace. When we recognize this shared longing in all beings, kindness flows effortlessly. It becomes not something we do, but something we are. And in this way, we begin to walk the path of true loving kindness. When we think about offering loving kindness, we often imagine extending it outward, to family, friends, and even strangers. But before we can truly offer kindness to others, we must examine the barriers within ourselves. These barriers, often built over many years, separate us from the world. They make us believe that we are alone, that we must protect ourselves, and that kindness must be given cautiously. One of the greatest barriers is the illusion of the self. We see ourselves as separate individuals, each with our own desires, struggles, and fears. This sense of separation makes us defensive. We become attached to our opinions, our identities, and our personal boundaries. When someone challenges us, we react with anger or fear. When someone disagrees with us, we feel threatened. But if we look deeply, we see that this self we defend so strongly is not fixed. It is shaped by our experiences, by the people around us, by the ever-changing circumstances of life. If we let go of this rigid sense of self, something beautiful happens. We become less concerned with protecting ourselves and more open to understanding others. We see that just as we experience joy and suffering, so does everyone else. Their anger, their impatience, their harsh words, they all come from their own struggles, just as our own difficulties shape our reactions. When we realize this, kindness becomes natural. We no longer need to force it. It flows from a place of understanding, from a heart that sees itself reflected in all beings. But this is not an easy path. Letting go of the self does not mean losing our identity or ignoring our own needs. It means softening the boundaries we have built, allowing us to connect more deeply with the world. It means recognizing that our happiness is not separate from the happiness of others. When we see this, kindness is no longer just a noble idea. It becomes a necessity, as natural as breathing. So, how do we begin? We start by observing ourselves. The next time we feel anger, frustration, or fear, we pause. Instead of reacting immediately, we look inward. Where does this feeling come from? Is it because we feel attacked? Is it because we are trying to defend something? The more we ask these questions, the more we understand the barriers within us. And the more we understand, the more we can let go. In breaking the barriers of the self, we do not lose anything. Instead, we gain the freedom to love without limits, to offer kindness without hesitation. And in that freedom, we find peace. To offer loving kindness to all, we must first change the way we see others. Too often, we see people as separate from ourselves, some as friends, some as strangers, some as obstacles. This way of seeing creates distance. It makes kindness conditional. But if we look deeper, we can recognize that every person we meet shares something essential with us: the desire to be happy, to be free from suffering, to be understood. Think for a moment about someone who has hurt you, someone whose words or actions caused you pain. It is easy to see only their wrongdoing, to focus on how they made you feel. But if we look beyond our own experience, we may begin to wonder, what pain or fear might have led them to act this way? What struggles are they carrying that we cannot see? This does not mean we must accept harmful behavior or allow others to treat us unjustly. Rather, it means we can look beyond the surface, beyond the roles of victim and wrongdoer, and see a fellow human being, flawed, imperfect, and struggling, just as we are. When we do this, our hearts soften. The anger that once felt justified begins to lose its strength, and in its place, kindness can arise. Seeing others as ourselves does not only apply to those who hurt us. It applies to everyone. The person who rushes past us on the street, the stranger who seems unfriendly, the loved one who sometimes disappoints us. In each of them, there is a story we do not fully know. There is joy, sorrow, hope, and fear, just as there is within us. When we remember this, we naturally become more patient, more understanding. We stop expecting perfection from others because we know we are not perfect ourselves. This shift in perception is powerful. It transforms the way we interact with the world. Instead of judging others quickly, we become curious. Instead of reacting with irritation, we respond with care. And in this change, we find something unexpected: peace. When we stop seeing others as separate, we also stop feeling so alone. The walls between us and them begin to fade, and in their place, we find connection. If we truly wish to offer loving kindness to all, we must begin with this way of seeing. We must train ourselves, again and again, to recognize in others the same fears, the same dreams, and the same humanity that exists within us. When we do this, kindness is no longer something we must force. It becomes the only natural response. Resentment is a heavy burden. When someone wrongs us, it is natural to feel hurt, disappointed, or even angry. But if we hold on to these feelings, they begin to shape our thoughts, our actions, and even our sense of self. We may believe that holding on to resentment protects us, that it keeps us from being hurt again. But in truth, it does the opposite. It keeps the wound open. It ties us to the pain of the past, preventing us from moving forward with a free and open heart. Think about a time when you held on to resentment. How did it feel? Did it bring you peace? or did it fill your mind with anger and frustration? Often, we replay past hurts over and over, as if doing so will somehow change what happened. But no amount of anger can undo the past. And while we are caught in our resentment, the one who hurt us may not even be aware of it. In the end, we are the ones who suffer most. Letting go of resentment does not mean ignoring what happened. It does not mean pretending that harm was not done. It means choosing not to let the past control our present. It means understanding that holding on to anger only deepens our own suffering. And it means recognizing that, just as we have been hurt, we too have hurt others, sometimes without even realizing it. When we see this, we begin to soften. We begin to understand that those who hurt us are not so different from us. They too have been shaped by their experiences, their fears, and their struggles. This does not excuse harmful actions, but it helps us see that we are all imperfect. We all make mistakes. And just as we wish for others to understand and forgive us, we can choose to extend the same kindness to them. Forgiveness is not something we do for others. It is something we do for ourselves. It is the act of setting down a heavy load that we no longer need to carry. When we let go of resentment, we make space in our hearts for peace. We free ourselves from the grip of the past and open ourselves to the present. Loving kindness cannot flourish in a heart weighed down by resentment. If we truly wish to offer kindness to all, we must first release what binds us. Only then can we move forward, lighter, freer, and more open to love. Loving kindness begins within. Before we can truly extend kindness to others, we must cultivate a sense of peace within ourselves. A heart that is restless, anxious, or filled with inner conflict struggles to offer genuine kindness. It is like trying to share water from an empty cup. If we wish to give freely, we must first nourish our own hearts. Inner peace does not mean avoiding difficulties. It does not mean shutting ourselves off from pain or pretending that suffering does not exist. Rather, it means developing the ability to remain steady in the midst of life's ups and downs. It means being at ease with ourselves, even when things are not perfect. When we are at peace within, kindness flows naturally. We do not have to force it. But how do we cultivate this peace? One way is by learning to observe our thoughts and emotions without being controlled by them. Often, our minds are filled with constant noise, worries, regrets, judgments. We replay past mistakes or anticipate future troubles, rarely resting in the present. This restless mind makes us impatient, reactive, and easily disturbed. When we are caught in this cycle, kindness becomes difficult because we are too preoccupied with our own inner struggles. Instead of fighting these thoughts and emotions, we can learn to witness them. We can notice when anger arises, when fear tightens our chest, when frustration clouds our thinking. Rather than immediately reacting, we pause. We take a breath. We remind ourselves that emotions come and go, like waves in the ocean. They do not define us, nor do they have to control us. This simple act of pausing creates space. In that space, we find choice. The choice to respond with patience instead of irritation, with understanding instead of judgment. The more we practice this, the more peaceful our hearts become. And from this peace, kindness grows. A peaceful heart is not weak. It does not mean we ignore injustice or allow harm. Rather, it gives us the strength to respond wisely. It allows us to act with clarity instead of being driven by impulse. When we cultivate inner peace, we become less easily shaken by the actions of others. We are no longer pulled into anger, resentment, or fear. Instead, we remain steady, grounded in kindness. If we truly wish to offer loving kindness to all, we must begin by tending to our own hearts. A peaceful heart naturally radiates warmth. It does not have to try. It simply shines, touching everyone it meets. This is the power of inner peace, and from this foundation, loving kindness can flourish. Loving kindness is not just a grand idea or a practice reserved for special moments. It is meant to be lived, woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. Many people think of kindness as something extraordinary, something that requires great effort or sacrifice. But true loving kindness is found in the small moments, the quiet choices we make each day. It is in the way we greet a stranger with warmth instead of indifference. It is in the patience we show when someone moves slower than we would like. It is in the gentle tone we use when speaking to a loved one, even when we are tired. These moments may seem insignificant, but together, they shape the energy we bring into the world. They determine whether we contribute to suffering or to healing, whether we build barriers or open doors. Some may say, "I want to be kind, but the world is harsh. People are selfish. If I am too kind, I will be taken advantage of." This fear is understandable. We live in a world where kindness is sometimes seen as weakness. But true kindness is not about letting others use us. It is about choosing to respond with wisdom and compassion, even when faced with difficulty. Loving kindness in everyday life does not mean always saying yes or avoiding conflict. Sometimes kindness means setting boundaries. It means speaking honestly, but with care. It means knowing when to step forward and when to step back. When kindness is rooted in inner strength, it is not something that others can easily take away. Each day gives us countless opportunities to practice. When someone speaks harshly, can we respond with understanding instead of reacting with anger? When we feel frustrated, can we pause and take a breath instead of letting irritation control us? When we see someone struggling, can we offer a simple act of kindness, a smile, a word of encouragement, a helping hand? No act of kindness is too small. A kind word can change the course of someone's day. A moment of patience can prevent unnecessary pain. A gentle presence can bring comfort in ways we may never fully know. And the more we practice, the more natural it becomes. Kindness is like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it grows. Loving kindness is not something distant. It is here, now, in the way we move through the world. Each day, we have a choice. And with each choice, we create the world we wish to see. It is easy to offer kindness to those who are kind to us. When someone speaks gently, treats us with respect, and shows us love, kindness flows naturally. But what about those who hurt us? What about those who speak harshly, act selfishly, or bring us pain? Can we extend loving kindness to them as well? This is one of the greatest challenges on the path of kindness. Our instinct is to protect ourselves, to build walls around our hearts when we are hurt. We may feel that kindness towards such people is impossible, that it would make us weak, that it would mean accepting their harmful actions. But offering kindness does not mean allowing others to mistreat us. It does not mean pretending that harm did not happen. Rather, it means choosing not to let anger and resentment take over our hearts. When someone causes us pain, it is often because they too are suffering. A person who is truly at peace does not need to harm others. If someone acts out of anger, it is because they are consumed by anger. If someone is cruel, it is because they carry their own wounds. This does not excuse their behavior, but it helps us see beyond it. It helps us recognize that their actions come from their own struggles, their own ignorance, their own pain. When we see this, our response can change. Instead of reacting with hatred, we can respond with wisdom. Instead of letting anger harden us, We can choose to soften, not for their sake, but for our own peace. We can hold firm boundaries, protect ourselves when necessary, but still keep our hearts open. We do not need to carry the weight of hatred. Offering kindness to those who hurt us does not mean we must be close to them. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do, for ourselves and for them, is to create distance. But even from a distance, we can let go of resentment. We can wish them well, hope that they find their way, and release the burden of anger from our own hearts. This is not easy. It takes time. But every small step in this direction lightens our hearts. It frees us from being trapped in pain. And the more we practice, the stronger we become. Not in a way that is hard or closed off, but in a way that is open and unshakable. True kindness is not limited to those who deserve it. It is given freely, because it is the nature of an awakened heart. And when we find the strength to offer kindness even to those who have hurt us, we discover a deeper peace, one that no one can take away. Loving kindness is not always expressed through words. In fact, some of the most profound acts of kindness are silent. They do not need explanations, grand gestures, or recognition. They are given simply, quietly, like a gentle breeze that cools the heat of a summer day. We often think of kindness as something we must say or do. A comforting word, a helping hand, a thoughtful gesture. These are all valuable. But sometimes, kindness is found in our presence itself. It is in the way we listen without interrupting. The way we sit with someone in their pain without trying to fix it. The way we offer our attention without distraction. In moments of deep sorrow, words often fail. When someone is grieving, struggling, or lost, there is little we can say to take away their pain. But we can be there. We can offer our presence, steady and patient. We can let them know that they are not alone, not by trying to change their experience, but by simply being with them. This is kindness beyond words, and sometimes it is the greatest kindness of all. We can also practice silent kindness in our everyday interactions. When we wait patiently instead of rushing, when we let someone go ahead of us in line, when we offer a warm smile to a stranger, we are sharing kindness without speaking. These small moments may seem unimportant, but they create ripples. A simple smile can soften a hardened heart. A quiet act of patience can ease someone's burden, even if just for a moment. There is also kindness in how we hold others in our hearts. Even if we never speak to them, we can wish them well. We can hope for their happiness. We can silently extend warmth and goodwill, whether they are near or far. This too is a form of loving kindness. It costs nothing, yet it has the power to transform the way we see the world. Kindness is not always about action. Sometimes it is about stillness, about being fully present in a world that is constantly rushing. When we embrace this silent kindness, we move through life with a gentleness that touches everything around us. We become a source of peace, not by what we say, but by how we are. Loving kindness is not only about speaking, it is about feeling, about offering warmth without expectation, about being a quiet presence in a noisy world. In the end, the most meaningful kindness is not always heard. It is felt. There are moments in life when everything feels uncertain. The future seems unclear, and we are faced with challenges that shake our sense of security. In times like these, fear can take hold. It is easy to close our hearts, to become protective, to think only of our own survival. But it is in these very moments that loving kindness becomes most important. When the world feels unstable, our minds become restless. We worry about what will happen next, about the things we cannot control. Fear and anxiety make us feel isolated, as if we are alone in our struggles. But if we look carefully, we see that we are not the only ones feeling this way. Others, too, are carrying worries, facing their own uncertainties. When we remember this, something shifts. We begin to move beyond our own fear and see that we are all in this together. Loving kindness in times of uncertainty means choosing connection over isolation. It means reaching out, even in small ways. A kind word to a friend, a moment of patience with a stranger, an offer of help to someone in need. These simple acts remind us that kindness does not disappear, even in difficult times. In fact, it becomes even more powerful. Kindness also helps us navigate our own fears. When we focus only on what we lack or what we fear, our hearts shrink. But when we turn our attention outward, offering care to others, something unexpected happens. We feel lighter. Our problems do not disappear, but they no longer consume us. The act of giving, of being kind, even when we ourselves are uncertain, creates space in our hearts. It reminds us that no matter what happens, we can still choose to love. This does not mean ignoring our own struggles. We must care for ourselves as well. But part of that care is recognizing that fear and uncertainty are shared human experiences. When we practice loving kindness, we break the illusion that we are alone. We realize that we are connected to something greater than our individual worries. Uncertainty will always be a part of life. We cannot control everything. But we can control how we respond. We can choose to meet uncertainty with a closed heart, or we can choose to meet it with kindness. The more we choose kindness, the stronger it becomes. And in that strength, we find a kind of stability, not in the outside world, but within ourselves. Loving kindness is not just for times of peace and ease. It is for times of fear, for moments of doubt, for the days when we do not know what comes next. In these moments, kindness is not only a gift to others, it is a light that guides us through the darkness. It is natural to feel kindness toward those we know, our family, our friends, the people who have been good to us. But true loving kindness does not stop there. It reaches beyond the familiar, beyond those we are comfortable with, and extends even to strangers. Every day, we cross paths with people we do not know. Some we notice, some we ignore. In a world that moves fast, it is easy to see strangers as just part of the background of our lives, as people who have nothing to do with us. But each of them has a story. Each carries their own joys and struggles, just as we do. And in truth, we are not as separate as we might think. Imagine a moment when you were struggling, perhaps feeling lost, tired, or overwhelmed. Now imagine that in that moment, a stranger showed you a small act of kindness. Maybe they smiled at you, helped you in some way, or simply treated you with warmth. Such moments may seem small, but they stay with us. They remind us that kindness can come from anywhere, that we are not as alone as we sometimes feel. Now consider this. Just as we have had moments when we needed kindness, there are countless others who are feeling that way right now. We may never know who they are, but our kindness might reach them at just the right time. A gentle word, a small act of patience, a bit of extra care. These things can change the course of someone's day, or even their life, in ways we may never see. Extending kindness to strangers does not mean we must always do something big. It begins with how we move through the world. Do we look at people with warmth, or do we rush past them without noticing? Do we treat those who serve us, cashiers, waiters, workers, with respect, or do we take them for granted? Do we offer kindness only when it is convenient, or do we make it a habit? Kindness is not something that is limited by familiarity. In truth, the stranger we show kindness to today may become a friend tomorrow. And even if they do not, our kindness is never wasted. Every act of care, no matter how small, contributes to a world that is a little more compassionate, a little more connected. The next time you encounter a stranger, remember, they are not so different from you. They have hopes, fears, and dreams, just as you do. And in that moment, you have a choice: to pass by or to offer kindness. Each time we choose kindness, we make the world a little lighter, a little warmer for all of us. Loving kindness and patience are deeply connected. Without patience, kindness easily fades. We may wish to be kind, but when things do not go as we expect, when someone is slow, when plans change, when others do not act as we would like, frustration takes over. In these moments, our good intentions disappear, replaced by irritation and impatience. But true kindness is not just about how we feel when everything is easy. It is about how we respond when we are tested. When someone is difficult, do we still choose kindness? When we face delays or inconveniences, do we still remain calm? These moments reveal the depth of our kindness. If we only offer it when things go smoothly, then it is not truly unconditional. Patience is the space that allows kindness to grow. It is the ability to pause before reacting, to take a breath instead of lashing out. When we are patient, we do not rush to anger or judgment. We give others the benefit of the doubt. We recognize that people move at their own pace, that life does not always go according to our wishes. And in that understanding, we create room for kindness. Think of a time when someone was patient with you. Perhaps you made a mistake, yet they did not scold you. Perhaps you were struggling, and they waited for you without pressure. How did that feel? Often the greatest kindness is not in words or actions, but simply in allowing someone the time and space they need. Now think of how often we become impatient, waiting in traffic, standing in line, dealing with slow responses. We let small moments of waiting turn into frustration. But what if we saw these moments as opportunities? Instead of impatience, we could practice presence. Instead of irritation, we could choose understanding. Even a few deep breaths can change our reaction, turning a moment of tension into a moment of peace. Patience is not just about others. It is also about ourselves. We are often hardest on ourselves, expecting perfection, becoming frustrated when we fall short. But just as we offer patience to others, we must offer it to ourselves. Growth takes time. Change takes time. We do not become perfectly kind overnight. By cultivating patience, we create the conditions for loving kindness to thrive. We become less reactive, more understanding, more at peace. And from that place of peace, kindness flows naturally, not forced, but effortless, like a river that moves steadily toward the sea. Loving kindness is most powerful when it is given freely, without expectation. Yet as human beings, we often seek something in return: recognition, gratitude, love, or even a simple acknowledgement. When we do not receive these things, we may feel disappointed, even hurt. But true kindness, the kind that brings deep peace, is not transactional. It is not given with the hope of receiving. It is given because it is the nature of a generous heart. Consider the way the sun shines. It does not choose whom to warm. It does not expect thanks. It simply gives light and warmth, because that is its nature. In the same way, when we cultivate loving kindness, we give not because we wish to be repaid, but because kindness itself is a joy. This does not mean we should never feel hurt when our kindness goes unnoticed. It is natural to desire appreciation. But if our kindness depends on how others respond, we will always be at the mercy of their reactions. Some people will be grateful, some will not. Some will recognize our efforts, some will overlook them. If we tie our happiness to their response, we will forever be caught in a cycle of expectation and disappointment. Instead, we can practice letting go. When we give, we can remind ourselves, this kindness is freely offered. I do not need anything in return. This simple shift in mindset brings a great sense of freedom. It allows us to love without conditions, to give without waiting for something back. Letting go of expectations does not mean allowing others to take advantage of us. It does not mean we must give endlessly, ignoring our own needs. Healthy kindness includes balance. It means knowing when to give and when to rest. It means offering love from a place of abundance, not exhaustion. We can begin practicing this freedom in small ways. The next time we do something kind, we can pay attention to our thoughts. Do we expect a thank you? Are we hoping for recognition? If so, we can gently remind ourselves, I give because it brings me joy, not because I need something in return. Over time, this practice changes us. Our kindness becomes lighter, effortless, like a breeze that moves through the world without needing to be seen. When we release expectations, we discover a deeper kind of love, one that is not bound by conditions, not limited by reactions. It is a love that is steady, joyful, and limitless, and in this way, we become truly free. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, creates ripples. Like a stone dropped into a still pond, kindness spreads in ways we may never fully see. A simple smile, a moment of patience, a gentle word. These small gestures can reach far beyond the moment in which they are given. We often think that kindness must be grand to be meaningful. But the truth is, even the smallest act can change the course of someone's day, or even their life. Think of a time when someone showed you unexpected kindness. Perhaps it was a stranger holding the door open when you were carrying something heavy. Perhaps it was a friend checking in on you when you were feeling low. These moments stay with us. They remind us that goodness exists in the world. And when we receive kindness, something happens. We are more likely to pass it on. If someone treats us with warmth, we naturally feel inclined to extend warmth to others. If someone is patient with us, we become more patient in return. This is how kindness spreads, not in grand dramatic gestures, but in quiet, everyday moments. But the opposite is also true. When we meet anger with anger, when we respond to frustration with impatience, we create a different kind of ripple, one that spreads tension, conflict, and suffering. If we are not mindful, we may unknowingly pass our own negativity on to others. This is why choosing kindness matters. Even when it seems small, even when it feels unnoticed, it is never wasted. The kindness we offer today may inspire someone else to be kind tomorrow. It may reach people we never meet, traveling from one person to another, like an invisible thread connecting us all. We do not need to know how far our kindness reaches. We do not need to see its effects. What matters is that we continue to offer it, trusting that each small act adds to the goodness in the world. A single candle may not light an entire city, but in darkness, even one flame makes a difference. Loving kindness is not about changing the whole world at once. It is about making small choices, moment by moment, to be a source of light instead of darkness. When we do this, we become part of something greater than ourselves, a chain of kindness that moves through time, touching lives in ways we may never fully understand. Loving kindness is often directed outward, to friends, family, strangers, even those who have hurt us. But there is one person we often forget to include: ourselves. True kindness must begin within. If we do not offer it to ourselves, how can we fully offer it to others? Many people find it easier to be kind to others than to themselves. We comfort our friends when they struggle, but when we make mistakes, we criticize ourselves. We forgive others for their imperfections, but we judge our own flaws harshly. We encourage others to rest, yet we push ourselves beyond exhaustion. But loving kindness cannot flourish in a heart that is constantly at war with itself. Self-compassion is not selfish. It is not indulgent. It is the recognition that we too are human, that we too deserve kindness, understanding, and care. It is the ability to speak to ourselves with the same warmth that we would offer a dear friend. Instead of saying, "I am not good enough," we say, "I am doing my best." Instead of thinking, "I should not make mistakes," we remind ourselves, mistakes are part of learning. Some believe that self-compassion makes us weak or lazy, that if we are too kind to ourselves, we will stop growing. But the truth is the opposite. When we treat ourselves with kindness, we build resilience. When we forgive ourselves, we become more willing to learn. A heart that is constantly criticized becomes fearful and hesitant. But a heart that is supported, even in failure, becomes strong and open. Self-compassion also allows us to offer deeper kindness to others. When we are hard on ourselves, we tend to be hard on those around us. When we judge ourselves harshly, we unconsciously judge others the same way. But when we learn to soften toward ourselves, we naturally soften toward others. Practicing self-compassion does not mean avoiding responsibility. It does not mean ignoring our faults. It means facing them with kindness, acknowledging them without self-hatred. It means allowing ourselves to rest when we are tired, forgiving ourselves when we fall short, and reminding ourselves that, like everyone else, we are worthy of love. True loving kindness is not complete unless it includes ourselves. When we learn to be kind to our own hearts, we discover that kindness flows more freely to others. It is no longer something we force. It becomes something we are. And in that kindness, we find a deeper sense of peace, one that radiates out into the world. Loving kindness is not limited to people. It extends to all living beings, the birds in the sky, the animals in the forests, the smallest insects, and even the earth itself. When we expand our kindness beyond human relationships, we begin to see the world in a new way, not as something separate from us, but as something we are deeply connected to. Many of us grow up thinking that humans are more important than other forms of life. We see animals as lesser, as objects for our use. We see nature as something to control rather than something to live in harmony with. But if we look closely, we see that all beings, in their own way, experience life just as we do. They seek food, shelter, and comfort. They feel fear, pain, and the desire to be safe. In many ways, their existence is not so different from ours. When we recognize this, kindness naturally expands. We begin to move through the world with greater care. We think before we harm. We respect the lives around us, no matter how small. We choose actions that support life rather than destroy it. A simple decision, not to kill an insect unnecessarily, not to waste food, not to harm animals for our own convenience, becomes an expression of loving kindness. This kindness also extends to the natural world. The trees that provide us with oxygen, the rivers that give us water, the soil that grows our food. These are not lifeless things. They sustain us, and yet we often take them for granted. We cut down forests without thought, pollute the oceans without care. But when we begin to see the earth as something alive, something that gives to us freely. We understand that kindness must also include how we treat our planet. Some may ask, what difference can my kindness make? The truth is, every small act matters. Choosing to reduce harm, to live with awareness, to respect life, these choices may seem small, but they create ripples. They influence others, and they shape the world we leave for future generations. Loving kindness is not just a philosophy, it is a way of living. It is the choice to care, not just for the people we know, but for all beings that share this world with us. When we expand our kindness in this way, we do not lose anything. Instead, we gain a deeper connection to life itself, a sense of belonging to something vast and beautiful. And in that connection, we find true peace. Imagine a world where loving kindness is the guiding principle, a world where people treat each other with care, where understanding replaces judgment, where patience softens conflict. It may seem like an impossible dream, yet every act of kindness brings us one step closer. We often think of the world as something separate from ourselves, something too big for us to change. But the truth is, the world is shaped by the choices of individuals, by the way we treat one another, by the way we respond to difficulties, by the way we choose kindness over cruelty, understanding over division. No act of kindness is too small. No effort is wasted. If enough people practice loving kindness, the effects spread. When one person responds with patience instead of anger, it creates space for peace. When one person offers help instead of turning away, it inspires others to do the same. This is how kindness transforms the world, not through sudden dramatic change, but through countless small choices made every day. Imagine if children were taught from an early age that kindness is not weakness, but strength. That success is not measured by wealth or status, but by the ability to bring goodness into the world. Imagine if leaders, businesses, and communities prioritize compassion over personal gain. The world would not be perfect, but it would be different, softer, more just, more humane. Of course, we cannot force kindness upon others. We cannot control how people act, but we can choose how we move through the world. We can decide whether our presence adds to suffering or to healing. Even in moments of frustration, even in the face of cruelty, we still have a choice. And that choice, no matter how small, matters. Loving kindness does not mean ignoring the world's problems. It does not mean turning away from injustice. On the contrary, it gives us the strength to face them with wisdom and courage. Anger may bring temporary power, but it also fuels division. Kindness, rooted in understanding, has the power to truly heal. It allows us to build bridges instead of walls, to listen instead of argue, to create solutions instead of deepening conflict. The world we dream of begins with us. It begins in the way we treat the person in front of us, in the way we respond to a difficult moment, in the way we choose kindness, even when it is not easy. If enough people make this choice, again and again, the world slowly transforms, not by force, but by the quiet, steady power of love. A world shaped by loving kindness is not just a dream. It is a possibility, waiting for us to create it. And the first step begins within our own hearts. Loving kindness is more than a practice. It is a way of living, a way of seeing the world, a way of meeting each moment with an open heart. It is not something we do only when it is easy, nor is it reserved for special occasions. It is something we carry with us, in our words, in our actions, in the silent warmth of our presence. As we reflect on this journey, on kindness toward friends and strangers, on patience, on forgiveness, on the quiet power of love, we see that loving kindness is not about perfection. There will be days when we struggle. There will be moments when irritation arises, when we fall back into old habits, when we close our hearts without meaning to. This is natural. We are human. The path of kindness is not about never making mistakes. It is about returning again and again to the intention to be kind. Each day offers a new opportunity. Each encounter is a chance to practice. Sometimes kindness is effortless, like the warmth of the sun on a clear day. Other times, it is difficult, like trying to keep a flame burning in the wind. But even in those moments, the effort matters. Each small act of care, each moment of patience, each time we choose understanding over judgment, it all matters. Loving kindness is not something separate from us. It is within us. It is not given in hopes of reward, nor is it dependent on how others respond. It is an offering, freely given, because it is the nature of a heart that has softened, a heart that has seen the beauty in kindness, a heart that understands that to give love is itself a joy. We may never fully see the effects of our kindness. We may never know whose life was changed by a simple word, a quiet act, a moment of care. But that does not mean the effect is not there. Kindness ripples outward, moving beyond what we can see, shaping the world in ways we may never know. And so, we continue. We walk this path not because it is always easy, but because it is true. Not because it guarantees results, but because it brings peace. Not because we must, but because we choose to. Loving kindness is a gift, both to the world and to ourselves. And as we move forward, may we carry it with us, not as a duty, but as a light, steady, and quiet, illuminating the path ahead. Loving kindness is not something we simply understand. It is something we live. It is a path we walk, step by step, day by day. There is no final destination, no perfect mastery of kindness. Instead, there is the ongoing practice of opening our hearts, again and again, even when it is difficult, even when the world feels heavy. Through this journey, we have explored many aspects of kindness toward those we love, toward those we struggle with, toward strangers, toward all living beings, and perhaps most importantly, toward ourselves. We have seen that kindness is not weakness, but strength. It is not just a momentary action, but a way of being. It is not dependent on what others do, but something that arises from within. The beauty of loving kindness is that it does not require grand gestures. It begins in the small moments, in the quiet choices we make each day. A gentle word, a patient heart, a willingness to see others with understanding. These simple acts shape the world more than we may ever realize. Even when we stumble, even when we fall into impatience or frustration, we can always return to kindness. It is always available to us, waiting for us to remember. And when we do, we find that kindness is not something separate from who we are. It is our natural state, the deepest truth of our being. As this reflection comes to a close, I want to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to you. Thank you for spending this time here, for opening your heart to these words, for reflecting on the power of kindness in your own life. Whether you have left a comment, shared your thoughts, offered support through a super thanks, or simply listened quietly, please know that your presence is deeply appreciated. If this message has brought something meaningful to you, I am truly grateful. The fact that you are here, reflecting on loving kindness, is already a sign of the goodness within you. May that goodness continue to grow, bringing light to your life and to the lives of those around you. Wherever you are, may you be well. May you be at peace. And may your kindness, in all its forms, touch the world in ways you never imagined.